What's up, guys? B here. Today, we're diving deep into the shadowy world of American politics to talk about something you hear about all the time, but maybe don't fully grasp its power: lobbying. And when you talk about lobbying, especially in foreign policy, one name towers above the rest: AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. This isn't just some small interest group. We're talking about one of the most powerful and influential foreign policy lobbies in the United States. Period. For decades, AIPAC has shaped America's Middle East policy, ensuring unwavering support for Israel through massive campaign donations, media influence, and a grassroots network that can mobilize at a moment's notice. It's a political machine, an absolute juggernaut. But this raises a huge question, one that gets more relevant every single day. If a relatively small country like Israel can wield such immense influence through a lobby, why don't global powers like Iran and China have anything remotely comparable in Washington, D.C.? These are countries with massive economies, huge populations, and significant geopolitical weight. Yet, when it comes to shaping American policy from the inside, they seem to be playing a completely different and much weaker game. It's a massive power imbalance that has real-world consequences for international relations, conflicts, and economic policies that affect all of us. So, in this video, we're going to break it all down. We'll explore exactly why Iran and China lack a powerful lobby like AIPAC. We'll look at the historical, political, and cultural reasons behind this gap. And more importantly, we'll discuss what, if anything, they could do to counter this influence. What strategies could they use to level the playing field in the cutthroat arena of American politics? Is it even possible? Stick around, because this is a conversation about power, money, and the hidden forces that shape our world. Let's get into it. Alright, so let's get straight to the core question. Why the massive gap in lobbying power? First, let's talk about the fundamental political and ideological differences. The US and Israel are framed as democratic allies sharing Judeo-Christian values, a narrative that has been hammered into the American psyche for decades. This creates a fertile ground for a pro-Israel lobby to operate. Iran, on the other hand, has been positioned as a primary adversary since the 1979 revolution, and China is increasingly painted as the main geopolitical and economic rival. It's incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to build a friendly lobbying group for a country that the political establishment officially designates as a threat. The entire system is structurally hostile to them from the get-go. Then there's the crucial role of the diaspora. The Jewish American community is highly organized, politically active, well-integrated, and financially powerful. They form the backbone of AIPAC's grassroots support and funding. In stark contrast, the Iranian and Chinese diasporas are far more fragmented. The Iranian American community is politically diverse, with many who fled the current regime and are actively hostile to it. Similarly, the Chinese American community is not a monolith. It includes people with deep roots in the US who may have no allegiance to the CCP, alongside newer immigrants. This lack of a unified, pro-regime voice makes creating a cohesive lobbying force a monumental challenge. Finally, you have the legal and financial hurdles. US laws like FARA, Foreign Agents Registration Act, place strict regulations on lobbying for foreign governments, and the sanctions against Iran create enormous financial barriers. So, how does a machine like AIPAC actually work? It's a multi-pronged strategy, and the first and most famous tactic is money. Lots of it. AIPAC itself doesn't directly donate to campaigns, but its members and affiliated PACs funnel millions of dollars to candidates, both Democrats and Republicans. This isn't just about rewarding friends, it's about punishing critics. If a politician steps out of line on Israel, they can expect a well-funded primary challenger backed by AIPAC-aligned donors. This creates a chilling effect, where even those who disagree with AIPAC's hardline policies are too afraid to speak up, knowing it could be career suicide. It's a system of financial carrots and sticks that ensures compliance. But it's not just about cash. AIPAC has mastered the art of media and narrative control. They work tirelessly to frame the public debate, ensuring that media coverage remains favorable to their positions. They provide experts for news shows, publish op-eds, and run sophisticated PR campaigns that equate criticism of Israeli government policy with anti-Semitism, a tactic that effectively shuts down legitimate debate. This is combined with powerful grassroots organizing. They have a massive membership base across the country, including a huge number of student activists on college campuses, who can be mobilized to contact their representatives, write letters, and show up to town halls. The consequence of all this is a U.S. foreign policy that is often disconnected from American public opinion or even its own strategic interests, but perfectly aligned with the goals of a foreign government's lobby. Okay, so given this immense power, what could countries like Iran and China realistically do to counter it? It's an uphill battle, but there are potential strategies. The first and most important would be to cultivate and empower their own diaspora networks. Instead of viewing their overseas communities with suspicion, they could invest in cultural centers, educational programs, and business associations that build a sense of community and goodwill. For Iran, this would mean bridging the huge gap with its post-revolution diaspora, which is a massive, perhaps impossible task for the current regime. For China, it means moving beyond state-controlled Confucius institutes and fostering more organic, independent community ties that aren't seen as direct arms of the CCP. Beyond the diaspora, the most obvious tool is economic leverage. China is a master of this. By being a critical trading partner and a massive holder of US debt, they already have a significant lever of influence, though it's often used behind the scenes rather than through a public-facing lobby. They could more strategically use this power to influence corporate behavior and, by extension, political decisions. Another key area is media and academic influence. This means investing in English-language media that presents their perspective, funding academic chairs and research programs, and engaging in public diplomacy to counter the overwhelmingly negative narratives. Finally, they could advocate for legal and political reforms within the US, like strengthening FARA and pushing for campaign finance reform to reduce the power of money in politics, though this means aligning with domestic progressive movements, which is a complex game in itself. Now, we have to be realistic here. The path to countering a lobby like AIPAC is filled with massive challenges. The biggest one is the deep-seated, historical alliance between the United States and Israel. This isn't just a political relationship. It's embedded in decades of military cooperation, intelligence sharing, and cultural ties. It's the default setting of the American foreign policy establishment. Any attempt by Iran or China to build influence is not starting from zero. It's starting from a deep deficit, trying to overcome a decades-long head start by a close US ally. The inertia of this relationship is an incredibly powerful force to overcome. Furthermore, you can't ignore the power of public perception and media framing. For decades, Iran has been portrayed in Western media as a hostile, theocratic, and dangerous state. China is increasingly depicted as an authoritarian, expansionist rival threatening the American way of life. This negative branding makes any pro-Iran or pro-China lobbying effort immediately suspect, and brands it as hostile foreign interference, whereas AIPAC's activities are normalized as the legitimate actions of an allied community. This is all happening within a broader context of intense geopolitical competition. In an era where the US sees itself in a great power competition with China, and a regional one with Iran, any action they take will be viewed through a lens of suspicion and rivalry, making the already difficult task of building soft power and political influence nearly impossible. So, to wrap this all up, the reason Iran and China don't have a lobby like AIPAC is a complex mix of historical baggage, ideological divides, a lack of unified diaspora support, and a hostile political environment in the US. AIPAC's success is a perfect storm of a powerful, organized community, a shared geopolitical narrative, and a political system that is highly susceptible to the influence of concentrated money and grassroots pressure. The deck is stacked, and it's been stacked for a very, very long time. It's a clear demonstration of how soft power, when expertly organized and funded, can be just as potent as military or economic might in shaping global affairs. However, that doesn't mean the situation is static. As we discussed, countries like Iran and China do have potential pathways to build influence and counter the existing power structures. By strategically strengthening their diaspora communities, leveraging their undeniable economic power, investing in media and academic outreach, and supporting legal reforms to dilute the power of money in politics, they could begin to create a more balanced conversation in Washington. It would be a long, difficult process, requiring a fundamental shift in their approach to public diplomacy, but the tools are there. The question is whether they have the will and the nuance to use them effectively. This brings us to the final, critical question that I want to leave with you all. Thinking about the nature of democracy and foreign influence, should countries like Iran and China even try to build powerful lobbies in the US? Is the answer to a powerful lobby more lobbying from the other side, potentially making the system even more beholden to foreign interests? Or is the solution to reform the system itself, to reduce the influence of all such groups? It's a tough one, and there's no easy answer. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I read them all. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and click the bell icon so you never miss our latest content. Your support really helps the channel grow. See you in the next one.